All right, so welcome back. This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. My name is Howard Moro. I did indicate at the beginning of the show that we have two topical issues to look at this morning, and if there's time, we'll look at the Adwoa Safo matter in greater detail. Remember that Parliament has summoned her. The Parliament is looking for her wherever she is. She needs to appear before the Privileges Committee. But before we delve into that, we also know that the Global InfoAnalytics, which is now gradually becoming one of the go-to institutions to look for, and in order to gauge the mood of Ghanaians when it comes to which direction they're likely to go if elections were held today. He will start the show with us this morning, where he's done some polls and very, very revealing, very interesting findings indeed. And then after which, we would also be hearing from the National Cathedral Secretariat. They'll be responding to some of the concerns that you have about the National Cathedral. We'll also look into that as well. So straight away, let me say that I have my guests who are seated here. Now they're going to be, they will be part of the audience, because we're going to be watching Mr. Musa Dankwa, who's the CEO of Global InfoAnalytics, walking us through the survey he's just done. So let me just welcome my resource persons quickly. Madame Beatrice Annan is a private legal practitioner and a member of the NDC's communications team. Beatrice, good to see you. Good morning. How are you? I do not want to talk about how much it's had to take us to get Beatrice to come here. She was here the last time something happened, so she couldn't come on air. But now she's here. Beatrice, good to see you once again. And then also, Pargrave Boachi Dankwa speaks for the government on matters of governance and security. He's also here with us. And so the two of them will be here. And then also, whilst Musa Dankwa does his presentation. Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Good morning, Moro. It's good to be here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Always a joy to see you. Very well. God is helping us. Have you
contributed toward the National Cathedral yet?
Absolutely. I mean, the
How
Momo
do you
works.
pay 10 Ghana, 20 Ghana?
Well, as much as the Lord blesses me, I always would want to give an offering.
How do you do? You
to
send
them.
Momo?
I send Momo. I send Momo to the number.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Beatrice, have you started contributing?
No.
Why?
I haven't been able to buy fuel.
Okay.
There are lots of things. This morning, it had to take somebody's magnanimity to get me breakfast.
Really?
And yes.
Oh, you should have just texted me. Yeah, probably.
Okay, so I think that the
Or
Lord,
even Pargrave. Pargrave is very
the Lord will want me to live before I worship.
Okay.
And so I haven't contributed.
You haven't
I don't
contributed.
think I'll ever contribute.
You're a lawyer.
I don't
You have
have
money. You just don't want to do that thing.
Yes, I'll give my money to the poor, the widow, the people who their salaries have been swallowed up by the 27.3% inflation. I'll give my money to single mothers who are struggling, whose businesses got destroyed under this government. I think that's a more useful way to
put your resources.
To put my resources.
That's interesting. Well, I can imagine how the conversation about the National Cathedral will go when we start. But anyway, Mr. Musa Dankwa, Assalamu alaikum, good morning, and good to see you, boss. And you've now become the talk of town. I mean, everybody's talking about your research. Some have been very, very uncomfortable since your work came out. Some have also been excited about it. But we can call this midterm polls, can't we? Yes. Okay. So how long have you been working on this? And share with us some of the findings that you have.
In fact, this is not very new.
Okay.
This was part of the April 2020 post that was published a month or so ago. Okay. It is now that we've gotten to a level where we are digging down into specific constituencies and bringing those issues that we couldn't bring them out at the time.
Oh, so it's a sequel to what you did?
Yes, just the people were not looking, we're not reading well. Now that we are targeting some of the seats that we think we need to bring them out, suddenly, when was it done? But the next one is going to happen in the next 3 weeks. That's for July. Okay. Yeah.
People have questioned what really your motivation is for doing this. Why are you motivated to do this?
Moro,
why are you doing this?
One, we are not CSO.
Okay.
We are not private people doing this poll.
Okay.
We are a company.
Okay.
A company limited by liability.
Okay.
With shareholders and directors.
Okay.
And part of our job is to do political risk forecasting.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
And we also do internal polling for candidates who want to see their chances.
Right.
Now, without proving ourselves that we can do it well, who will give you a job?
That's true.
And then secondly, how do you do your forecasting if you don't have data?
Right.
So for us, data collection is our business.
Okay.
But we've also realized that we owe the country a duty, and that we can contribute as part of our CSR by giving the public some information that they need to know through our work.
Okay.
So we are simply motivated by profit as a company, and then two, by our CSR. As who it touches, that is really...
That's none of your business?
No, not my
That's
business.
fine. All right, so let's do this. So what do you have for us this morning?
Well, this morning we are looking at a number of issues, specifically the MPs in certain areas that are in deep trouble nationally or serious trouble internally. And we'll also be looking briefly at the MPP race within the MPP affiliate themselves. In April, what we published was the national view of voters. This morning, we're going to be looking at specifically what do MPP affiliates think, and in which region is which candidate doing well and not doing well. And then we will zero down to the bottom line. Who will be able to match John Mahama from the NDC? Is it Alan or is it Bawumia? And that's where we end it.
That's interesting. All right, so I guess that we can set the ball rolling.
Okay. Now we'll start with Greater Accra.
Okay.
In Greater Accra, we have the MP for Anyasu, Dixon Adumaku Kisi, being one of the MPs who are in serious trouble in Greater Accra here.
Okay.
At the moment, he's backed by only 12.1% of his constituents, compared to 83% who are not willing to vote for him. Now, in that constituency, 88.5 people are saying that the country is heading the wrong direction, and only 3.2 said right direction, and no opinion 3.4. Now, you could see head-to-head with Bawumia and Mahama, and Alan and Mahama. Surprisingly, in the same constituency, which is 62% MPP, the MPP candidates are losing to John Mahama in that constituency. So when you're looking at what is going to happen there, look at the number here, the demographic of MPP supporters in the constituency, and how many people are saying the country is heading the wrong direction. These are some of the things that are feeding into the performance of the MP. Probably...
So we're likely to see a skirt and blouse?
It's possible.
In Anyasu
It could be so skirt and blouse, but at the moment, we are seeing straight jacket. At the moment, because Mahama is winning against Bawumia, and Mahama is winning against Alan in an MPP stronghold.
That's interesting.
And the MP2 is losing. So it could be that the MP is suffering from the national issues, and that he couldn't defend himself against everything that is happening in the constituency.
Wow.
On this basis, we believe that the MP will be in serious trouble internally, and if he is re-elected, he could face a serious trouble in the end. And if Mahama wins the seat, then MP will lose the seat.
Wow. Okay.
Then we have Honorable Sarah Adwosafu, Domi Kwabinya. Adwosafu is on the borderline. 50.3% of people say they will vote for her. 30.6 said they won't, and 19.2 are neutral. In the case of the Domi Kwabinya, they are very optimistic. Wrong direction, 29.7. Right direction, 70.3. So in that constituency, we should expect that things should be normal for the MPP. But in the case of Adwosafu, she is below that mark, slightly above the threshold of 50%. And then in the constituency, you have Bawumia beating John Mahama by 65.8%.
Okay.
And Alan beating, sorry, I think it's okay, I think it's reverse. It's rather, Alan is beating Bawumia there. I think this chart has been flipped.
Okay.
Yeah. But in all scenarios, MPP is winning in Domi Kwabinya in the presidential, and Adwosafu is on the margin of victory in the constituency. Now we understand she might not go again.
But it means that Adwosafu is not sitting pretty.
No, she's not.
In that constituency.
She's not.
And okay, because I'm not going to ask you what could possibly account for that, because that's not what you did. You
yes,
did.
but what we figured out is that she's not going to run. We are told.
Okay.
Now, if she doesn't, then it will be an open race in the constituency.
Possibly between Michael Quay Jr.
Exactly.
And
now, remember we did a poll sometime back in April about Michael Quay and the NDC candidate.
Yes.
And Michael Quay was losing.
Yes.
So if
Michael Quay was losing.
Yes, in that contest, yes.
Against what's it? Eli. Is Eli
Akurugu? Yes, Akurugu.
Eli Plim Akurugu.
Yes, he was losing. Yes, he was losing by 1%.
Interesting.
Yes. So if that seat becomes open seat, then there's a big risk that it could go
And
either
then
way.
we might lose Dome Kwabena to
Now,
NDC.
it depends on how Safo exit the constituency.
Okay.
If she goes out with a peaceful note, the MPP will remain united.
Yes.
And they could get help from the other floating voters and probably carry the seat.
Okay.
But if any faction feels a bit aggrieved and they venge their anger on election day, the seat could go.
That's interesting. Now, before you flip to the next constituency, now we've taken keen interest in Dome Kwabena for two reasons.
Yes.
Because of the personality
Yes.
and also the size of the constituency. So, as a responsible media house, what we've done is that we've sent a reporter out there to Dome Kwabena to sample views of, ordinary folks who live there. So let's watch this. We've done some documentary or some feature on Dome Kwabena. So let's watch this.
The embattled Dome Kwabena MP has been absent from Parliament for months now, following claims that her absence is due to a health condition of the son. Her only appearance before the House was a cameo one when she appeared before the House of Legislature during the disapproval of the 2021 budget and the subsequent approval of the budget by the parliamentarians on the majority side. The Speaker of Parliament, thus in May, directed that the MP appears before the Privileges Committee of the House. Following unsuccessful attempts by the committee to reach the minister through her ministry and also through her private offices, the committee has thus summoned the MP through the media to appear before the committee on July 6, 2022. According to some, the embattled MP is doing the right thing by staying away from Parliament to take care of her child.
For almost a year, Muni MP. What's the matter?
Any MP. What to coin? Oh, media and Hammer, sir, what the Abyssal was saying, Nebahon Fano. No, quite as I say, I don't see the Infeniagro. See a bomb permanent set, Nebahon Tonwaba, or buy a beto Abana Amano.
Or some buses here.
Obama Tomano. Oh, just say, you hear more, on the if with my boy. And pass over so boy can be British, and I agree into say a culture to buy a Toman.
Others think the constituency is struggling due to the absence of the minister.
It seems we Ghanaians, most of us are very villagers. But what Adjusafo is doing in this area now, it's uncalled for because we pay him every month. We pay her every month. He's supposed to come. If he don't want to come out, then he's supposed to dismiss her. What she's doing is very uncalled for. I bet you, bro. The only end of the airtime, cry. You have to open one area, Massa. It's real. Quite airtime area, but be there and your fate. You know, the enemy of the government in your own unity. No one, own unity. And one own unity. Yes, because market woman for no cry, the only yaman or honor. Yeah, still, not the end of why. Because we have been as a wound or most 15 days. It's more than some months. You chat to play amount. Be a young wound you could see still. Where the over and a TikTok, Nano. Just a girl who gonna for. Oh, someone to me there's something wrong. Because maybe now on the party in any day as a party in any idea. As so much.
If they have invited me, she's not coming back. That means she's not ready for the work. So definitely they should choose someone who is ready for the work. If she's ready to come back, fine, we are cool. And then when she comes to, she has to do the work. There are rules out there, like we need help. So if you come and then she will work, fine. But if she's not ready to come to, anyone who is ready to work, let's just,
How has her absence affected you? You spoke about roads. There are other things that I'm sure the MP would have to do in a constituency. How has that affected you?
Like you know, MP, she's supposed to help the community because she has been here, so she knows what we need. The roads, there's some kind of social amenities that we need here. So yeah, we need all those things. So if she's not there, who is there to provide these things for us? She is representing us in the parliament there, so she has to be here to know what we need and what we want.
Those are views of some constituents from the Dome Kwabena constituency. Will the MP avail herself on July 6, 2022, either virtually or face-to-face before the Privileges Committee of Parliament? Only time will tell. Reporting from the Dominic Kwabena constituency, I am Henry Kwesi Bedu.
So that was a great story by hardworking reporter Henry. I mean, he works here. He went to Dominic Kwabena and did and sampled the views of the ordinary folks who live there about their MP. One of the things that I picked, Musa, from this, and I know you're going to move to the next constituency, it appears that Adwoa Safo has very, very loyal supporters.
Absolutely. Taifa North and Taifa South. That's her World Bank. You can't break that area.
Taifa
North and Taifa South.
Oh, I see. Why? Why is it so? Is it because, is that where the dad?
The church is more, yes, visible there.
It's located in
so
these,
so
in
the,
these
the
areas.
problem we have to find out, we don't know the problem, is to find out whether they are loyal to the candidate or loyal to the party.
Or the family.
If it's to the candidate, then when she goes, they will go with her.
That's interesting. All right, so we'll move to the next constituency.
Now, the next on the list of endangered species is Honorable John Osei Frimpong, MPP, Ebrim constituency. In the 2020 elections, he had 11.7% margin of victory. So it's not that comfortable. Currently, he's backed by 8.2% of voters. And then 87.8% are opposed to him. In that constituency, wrong direction, 92%. Right direction, 2%. No opinion, 5%. So some of these are hints, are pointers of what is happening in the constituency. In the constituency, MPP is 59%, NDC 14%, 16% for floating voters, and the rest 10%. Now, in the race between Bawumia and Mahama, hypothetical race, John Mahama is on 30.6% in Ebrim, and Bawumia on 24.5%. Alan, however, wins that constituency with 40.8%, with Mahama dropping 20.4%. There is a chunk of voters who are saying they will not vote in these regions. That's why you see these numbers are low numbers. When you add them up, you don't get anything close to even 70%. Now, this MP may be at risk in general election and vulnerable again in the MP primaries. From the way he's looking, he doesn't sit well at all in the constituency. The next will be the NDC candidate for Lower Manya, Ebenezer Oklete Telabi. He had 10 points margin in the last election. Currently, 34.6% of people are willing to vote for him. 42 said they won't, and neutral 23.5%. It is 98% wrong direction for the country, right direction 0%, and no opinion 1.2%. So you could see that this demographic or these dynamics should favor him to be on top, yet he's not. And the MPP is 16%, NDC is 60%, yet he's only getting 34%. So he's deeply, deeply in trouble in that constituency. Now, however, if he survives the primaries, we expect him to win the election because we don't expect MPP to win that seat in the general election. Then we have the four quartet in Western region. Western region is becoming something we are going to further investigate. We'll be going back there next week to look at some of the seats there specifically. Honorable Joe Gatti, the incumbent, is Kado Kitan. He won the seat with 4.2% margin. 4.2. Currently, only 11.1% of people said they're going to vote for him. 67.9% said they won't, and 21% said they are neutral. Wrong direction, 53%, which is not very bad because we've seen high 90s. And then right direction, 44.6%, no opinion, 2%. In that constituency, Bawumia is on 33%, Mahama 33%. They are almost tied in that constituency. In the case of Alan against Mahama, Alan however wins with 35% of the vote and Mahama 31.7% of the vote. MPP is dominant 50% and this is 20%. So if you look at this demographic analysis and look at what the MP is getting, it means within his own ranks, he is not winning any hat. On this basis, we think the MP will go if he runs again in the next election.
Interesting. Well, he's not likely to go because he's running for president. He's running for president.
We have some instances where people have gone to primaries and they will come back and contest.
Right, that's true.
Then the next on the list is Andrew Kofi Ajapamesa, MPP for SEKONDI.
Ajapamesa?
Yes. He won comfortably with 24.8% margin in the last election.
Okay.
Currently, only 20.5% of people said they would vote for him. 64% said they won't. Neutral, 15%. Wrong direction, 57.0%. Right direction, 35.5%. No opinion, 7.5%. MPP is dominant there, 46%. NDC, 20.5%. And floating voters, 33%. That's the third block, or the second largest block in the constituency. Now, in that race, head-to-head, Bawumia was winning 42.5%. And Mahama 35%. So Mahama is losing that. And surprisingly, yes, in the case of Takrady, Mahama rather wins against Alan. So we want to go and find out what is happening there. Now, on this basis, we think the MP will be in very serious trouble. Internally, it could give people a chance to really mount a serious challenge against him. And if he emerges as the winner in the primaries, he could face a tough fight and will fight for his life in the election.
Interesting.
Then we have the Minister for Regional Minister, Kwabena Ochodaku Mensah, Takrady. He won by 35.9% margin.
Okay.
Quite huge margin. So very popular during the elections. Where are we today? Today, 7.2%.
Okay.
Only 7.2% said they would vote for him. 85.8% say they won't. 7% are neutral. Wrong direction, 61.7%. Right direction, 26.7%. So things are not going well, on well in that constituency, which is dominantly, slightly MPP favored. And then in the case of head-to-head, Bawumia is on 8.6%. And Mahama, 6.9%. I think some of this graph probably has been corrupted. But I think Alan wins Takrady. On this basis, we think that the MP is going to be in serious trouble.
Okay.
If Mahama wins a seat and he's the candidate, he will lose a seat.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Then we have George Miracle Duka, the MP for Takwa Nswanyemu. He won with 0.15% margin. One of the slimmest margins you can get. 101 vote difference between him and the NDC candidate last time. Currently, only 27.4% said they will vote for him. 55% said they won't. Neutral, 17.2%. If you look at him compared to the others we've seen, he's in a better position than the rest. But he is in the high 20s. Now, the wrong direction of the country, 33.5% said we are in wrong direction. But surprisingly or luckily for him, right direction is 59.5%, which should favor him. Now, in the race for that consensus between Bawumia and Mahama, Bawumia wins 37.2% compared to 31% for John Mahama. And in the case for Chiramating, he loses against Mahama in Kakwanswaya. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Means that Bawumia is very strong.
Yes.
In that constituency.
Yes. So for Mirakuduka, you should pray that Bawumia becomes the candidate.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So on this basis, we think he's going to fight for his life, and unless if he goes to the primary, he could struggle, but his struggle will be far less if Bawumia is the candidate.
Is the candidate.
Yes.
I see.
Then we have Western North. So here also, Kweku Afriye, MPP. He won by 0.11% margin, 72 votes. He won the election by. Currently, 17.9% said they would vote for him, 68.6% said they won't, and 13.5% said they are neutral. Wrong direction, 72%. This kind of numbers doesn't favor an incumbent if you are from the ruling party. 72.5 said we are heading in the wrong direction. 27.5 said right direction. In the head-to-head, Bawumia beats, Mahama beats Bawumia in Sefi Yosu constituency, and again he beats Alan in the constituency. So for him, it doesn't look good for him. Okay. He will have a very tough fight for his life. Then we have NDC MP for Dwabusu constituency, Honorable Kwabena Minta Kando. He won with 7.4% margin in the last election. At the moment, 38.6 said they would vote for him. 52.7 said they won't. 8.8 said they are neutral. In the country, in the constituency, 48.3 said we are heading in the wrong direction. 45.0 said right direction. So they are a bit split in the middle in that constituency.
So it means, okay, please end.
In the same constituency, Mahama beats Bawumia and Mahama beats Alan. So for him, he should pray that Mahama is the candidate, obviously, and that which of these candidates will give him a better chance. Because when your candidate is winning, you tend to get what we call the down ballot effect. It tends to carry you with him if you are in slight trouble. But if the trouble is so huge, then you wouldn't be able to cross the line with that kind of difficulty. But he is around 38.6, about 12% margin from 50%, so he could survive it. He could survive it.
Okay.
Then we have John Intim Fojo, ASSIN South, MPP. He won with 3% margin. There were 3 tie races at the time with 1 independent candidate. Currently, only 18% said they will vote for him. 55.7 said they won't, and 26.2 said they are neutral.
Okay.
Wrong direction 38, right direction 20, the rest no opinion. Now, what is unique here is that almost a third of the voters said they will not vote. National South. And Mahama wins in a very strong MPP constituency. Mahama is winning against all the or both MPP candidates. On this basis, if this pans out on election night, in Team Fojo, if he's the candidate, he will lose the election. Then we have Al-Hassan Kobna Gansa, NDC. Esikuma Dobin Brakwa. He's also in a fight for his life. He won by just 5% of the vote last time. Currently, 17.4% said they are going to vote for him. 43.2% said they won't, and neutral 26%. Wrong direction 71%, right direction 14%. So you could see that he should be riding at the back of people's bad feeling about the country, yet he's behind hugely. MPP 39%, NDC 26%, 1.3 voting voters, and 32.9% other parties. This is a new developing bloc we are seeing in Ghana's demography.
There are others constituencies.
There are people, no, other parties.
Other parties.
We gave them NDC, they didn't choose NDC. Okay. We gave them MPP, they didn't choose MPP. We gave them PNC, they didn't. PPP, they didn't. And then CPP, they didn't. Which other smaller party can gather up to 32.9% support in this country beside these 3 parties? These are people who have abandoned the 2 main parties. And in this area, we can't tell whether they are from floating voters, because normally Central Region is quite heavy on floating voters. Have they moved from being floating and it's something they call themselves others? We will see going forward. On this basis, we think this MP he could lose the election. Even if Mahama wins the constituency, it could be very, very tight for him. Yes. Then we have Gisela Akushika Tete Agbotwi, Ewusenya West, NDC. She's also fighting for her life. She won by 4.5% margin in the last election. Currently, 33.7 said they would vote for her. 32.7 said they won't. Luckily for her, 33.6 said they are neutral. So she has a window. Direction of the country, wrong direction 38%, right direction 32%, no opinion 29%. Now in the head-to-head, Mahama is winning against Bawumia and is winning against Alan. So based on these dynamics and the fact that there are people sitting in the neutral column, she could push herself up and win the seat if Mahama wins it. But she's in for a very tough fight. Depending upon who MPP present, it will also change the dynamics. Then we have MP for Guma West, NDC, Richard Jan Mensah. In the last election, he won by 8.1% 8.5% or 8.15% margin. Currently, 13.45%. He is really, really underwater. Very likely to vote for him, 13.5. Unlikely, 43.9. Neutral, 42.7. He also has a window. 42.7 said they are neutral. They are watching.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, MPP is winning the presidential race there.
MPP will win.
Bawumia wins 41 against 24. Alan wins 68 against 18. Whatever happens there, he will be in a fight for his life.
I see.
Then we have MPP MP for TANO South, Benjamin Sechere Yeboah. Last time, he won by 5.5% margin. Now, 32.9 said they would vote for him. Very unlikely, 65.7. Neutral, 1.6. So he has no window of opportunity among people who are neutral. People have firmed up their mind, said they won't vote for him. That will put him at serious risk in the internal primaries. And we don't think with this number, he could survive the primary. But if he does survive the primary, then he will be in for a very skirt and blouse situation in that constituency. Then we have NDC MP for Bono West, or DORMAA West.
That's DORMAA West, yes.
Vincent Opong Asamoah. He won by 7.5% margin. Now, 48.2%. He is below 50% mark. But he's in trouble a bit. Very unlikely, 34.4, and neutral, 17.2. He has a huge window here. He only needs few percentages to cross above 50 here. So if he put in effort, he will come through. But for him, if Bawumia is the candidate, it's a plus for him. He will win the seat. But if Alan becomes the candidate in that, as we are seeing here, Alan is winning in that DORMAA West, then he will lose the seat. Because we will expect MPP led by Alan to carry their candidate with them, with this trouble. So it could play a very tricky. Then we have NDC MP for JAMAN North constituency, Frederick Yao Ahinkwa. He won by 10.07% last time. Now on 36.2%. 41 unlikely to vote for him. 22.2 said they are neutral. Wrong direction, 45. Right direction, 52. So this numbers doesn't favor him. People are a bit positive about the outlook there.
Okay.
And that tends to favor the ruling government.
Okay.
So with that combination, it could be a very dicey situation. However, for him, Mahama is winning against all the MPP candidates. That's another thing that could play to help him cross above the 50% that he needs to.
Right.
Then we have Wenchi. Honorable Seydou Haruna. He won by 5.8% in Wenchi last time. Now 38.6%. Unlikely, 52.7%. Neutral, 8.8. If you add the neutral, all neutral to his number, he's still below 50%. Okay. So he's in there for a top fight. And Bawumia loses against Mahama in that Wenchi, but Alan wins against Mahama in Wenchi. So his luck could be dependent on if Bawumia is the candidate for MPP there.
I see.
So the dynamics here, some MPP, NDC MPs will be fighting for Bawumia because of their life situation. Okay. And you see some a bit of tricks there.
Because I don't know how many more constituencies you have to go.
No, I'm just going to finish this. Those are in Dire Strait.
Right, those are in Dire Strait.
Dire Strait,
so how many more do you have?
I think this will be the last one or so.
This should be the last one, okay.
Yes.
Then after this, your plan is that after this, you're going to now look at the bigger picture.
Yes.
In terms of MPP internal politics, NDC internal politics. And then you pair
quickly
likely candidates. Okay, that's fine. Because of
Sene West. NDC MP, Kwame Chumasi Ampofu.
Okay.
He won by 16 votes.
Okay.
16 vote, 0.06%.
That's tight.
Yes. He is now on 35.9%. 59% said they won't vote for him. Neutral 5%. Mahama wins against Bawumia there, and Alan wins against Mahama. So his prayer is Bawumia becomes the candidate, and that he will be able to ride at the back of Mahama's wind. Otherwise, he will be a goner.
In trouble.
Yes. And the last one is Nabungu Central, also in trouble.
Okay.
And then Nabdam, also in trouble.
Uy.
So these are the people, and then one last one. So I think that
Saboba.
Yes.
He's
MP
also in trouble.
Joseph, yes. Bukari, also in trouble. But his also prayer is that Bawumia becomes a candidate. If Bawumia is a candidate, it will be much easier. If it's Alan, it will be tighter. But regardless, I think he has a window.
Okay.
But his window is very tiny.
Not even the 47 point something neutral?
No.
I see.
Now, quickly, let's look at the big names. I'll just mention them. Chairman Sabonsu is in trouble in his constituency. Swami.
Wow.
34.6%. If he goes through, we expect that he will win the election. But if he doesn't go through, then that will be the end of Chairman Sabonsu. And then we have Honorable Francisca Ochin Mensah, Kwabre East, also in trouble. 15.3% of voters. And then Kingsley Nyaku, Kwadaso.
He's also in trouble.
11.7%. Patricia PJ, I'm told she might not go again.
Asokwa.
But she's on 8.7% in Asokwa, MPP home. Then we have Nkoko, Joseph Frimpong, regional minister.
Also in trouble.
Yes, 35.7%.
Okay.
Now, what we did is to look at quickly, in the case of Alan and Bawumia, just within MPP fraternity, voters who said they are MPP affiliates across the areas we polled, regions, how did they fare? In Greater Accra, Bawumia won 4 out of the 7. Alan won 3. In Ashanti region, Bawumia won 6 of the constituency in the Ashanti region. Alan won 2. So if Alan cannot win his backyard, there's no room for him to win.
But these are only 8 constituencies.
Well,
so
I'm not saying based on, I said if he can't win his hometown, his home region, there will be a trouble for him.
Okay.
Then we have Central region. Alan wins 4, Bawumia wins 2. In Eastern region, Alan wins all the 5, and Bawumia wins nothing in Eastern region. Eastern region is coming to be a problem for the vice president. He needs to find out why. Upper West, Bawumia wins everything, 3. Upper East, he wins all the, he wins 4, Alan wins 1. OT, 50-50, they share it among themselves. Water region, Alan wins 4, Bawumia wins 2. And then Western region, Bawumia wins 3, and Alan wins 4. We found Bawumia to be a bit strong in Western region than Alan in Western region. Okay. And then we have Western North. They shared among themselves 1-1.
It's a split.
It's a split. Northern region, Bawumia sweeps the table, 4-0. Northeast, 2-0. Afo, split 1-1. Bono, Alan sweeps 5-1. And then Bono East, 2-1 to Bawumia. And in the Savannah, Bawumia sweeps across. Now, so Bawumia wins 39 of the 68 places we went to. And Alan won 29 of those places. Now, when we analyze the results of everything, within the nation, Alan is leading among all voters, MPP, NDC, PPP, whoever, among all voters, by 36% to Bawumia, 33%. Among MPP supporters only, Bawumia leads 54%, Alan 46%. So Bawumia leads within MPP. Among people who said they are MPP affiliates, they prefer Bawumia to lead the party. Among NDC people want Alan to lead MPP. Yes. And only 26% of them are backing Bawumia. Right. Among floating voters, Alan is on 32%, and Bawumia 26%. So the floating voters are tilting towards Alan.
I see.
And then those who said there are other parties which we believe they were trying to hide their true colors, 30% are voting for Bawumia and 24% are voting for Alan.
Okay.
Now, we then did head-to-head. If it is Bawumia in the general election against the presumptive candidate of NDC, John Mahama, who would they vote for? 30% of all voters said they would prefer to vote for His Excellency Dr. Bawumia to lead the country in 2025. 53% said they want John Mahama to lead the country come 2025. Someone else, they don't like any of these two, none of these two. Someone else, 8%. I will not vote 9%. in that race. Now, I want you to keep eye on someone else's number and I will not vote number in the next slide. When we throw in Alan, assuming Alan is a candidate, who would you vote for? This time around, 37% of all Ghanaians said they'll vote for Alan. 50% said they'll vote for Mahama. Someone else, 3%. Drop of 3% from the previous race. And then I will not vote, drop by 1%. From Bawumia's number of 30 to Alan 37, 7-point increase. 3 came from John Mahama, 3 came from someone else, and 1 came from I will not vote. So Alan is perceived to be able to drive out people to come and vote.
Wow. It's interesting.
And I think that's it.
Wow. I don't know whether you have any brief comments to make. So before we move to Cathedral, but Musa, this is some good job. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. I want to thank you very much. I don't know whether Beatrice and Pagwe Danko have some questions for you based on the presentation you've just made.
No, not from
you. Don't have any questions?
No, I don't have any question. But really, just to, I think from an academic point of view, and as an academic, I appreciate the work that you have done. I believe that every well-meaning politician, especially leading to the 2024 general election, having observed 16 years of NDC in the Fourth Republic and 16 years at a time of NPP, need to take a closer look at some of the points that you have raised. I believe that for us as a political party, which is the NPP, in addition to all our internal research that we're also doing, this comes to add on as a resource, which we would make reference to. So really, real thanks to you for helping the cause of development in freedom continually.
Now, Musa, my only question to you is this, that can a lot change before 2024?
Yes.
You won't let me comment.
And
you won't let me comment.
Oh, I'm sure you will. But can a lot change before 2024?
Oh, yes. You know, in politics, things are very dynamic.
Right.
Even when you throw in a new candidate into a race, the whole thing can be turned upside down.
Right.
Now, in terms of Alan and Bawumia race, time is very critical. For Bawumia, the primary should have been held now. But now he's leading, leading within MPP and possibly leading among delegates.
Right.
But if the gap begins to close as time goes on, then you begin to see that the delegate numbers will begin to reflect the general sentiment of the voters. Because they cannot completely ignore the reality on the ground and do otherwise. So he must make sure that, or he must ensure that the government recovers, the economy recovers, because his numbers are tied to the government's performance against the president's performance.
Right.
As those numbers nosedive, so he goes with it.
That's right.
So he must turn things around. If he doesn't, it's going to be a very, very tough race.
That's interesting.
Between MPP and MPP.
So it doesn't matter which candidates the MPP presents per this polls if elections were held today.
Absolutely not. I mean, before the presentation, I asked for the confidence interval of the research, and Doug indicated it was about 99. And so that's the margin of error is very slim. I would love to see how the regression was run, but I think this is a very important data, and things would change, I believe, but things would change to increase the NDC margin. Because, I mean, for the first time, when we are doing data analysis, the MPP has taken the country 20 years back. Because if you're talking about employment, the data suggests that in 3 decades, 30 years, we are experiencing the worst. If you take inflation, for 18 years, we are experiencing the worst inflation. If you take the exchange rate, for 18 years, the cedi is depreciating at a rate of 30%. And so, cumulatively, if you do all the macroeconomic analysis, if you do all, even the social and political analysis, from democratic gains to everything, the MPP has taken the country 20 years back. And I think that beyond the data, it becomes a communal duty for us to oust this government out, if not for nothing, so that political parties will know that when people give them power, they give them power in the expectation that, just like the research shows, the country will be headed in the right direction and not in the wrong direction. And if you look at the presentation, the cumulative data of the people who believe that the country is in the wrong direction is above 70%. And for me, that is very worrying and scary, that in the space of 6 years, for a party that won with almost a million margin, for over 70% of voters to say that the country is in the wrong direction, then I think that it's time for us to wake up. It's time for us to speak up. It's time for us to let the government know that they cannot gamble with our lives and livelihood. And I would say that the 2024 election will be a referendum on the abysmal performance of the MPP government, on the kind of recklessness they have exhibited by way of governance, and more so the lack of vision and plan for this country. It is a call for everybody to join. And I would expect that the statistics will go up in favor of John Mahama, because we've had the privilege to say, in what we say in our local parlance, we've carried water, we've carried alcohol, we've seen that which is heavy. And it is evident that if you look at the data between Dr. Bawumia and John Mahama, whereas Dr. Bawumia is doing 30%, John Mahama was doing 57%, because Dr. Bawumia doesn't have any new wisdom as a vice president, which he will introduce when he becomes president. And so I think that I share the sentiment of the majority of the population that when it comes to Dr. Bawumia, he has nothing to offer. At worst, he will make the economy worse than it is, because he's the leader of the economic management team. And if his classroom theories aren't solving it between 2017 to 2020 and 2020 to 2024, there is no magic one anywhere beyond 2024. And so this is a reflection of what is happening. I expect the NDC to come out victorious in the 2024 election. And we are ready to salvage the nation.
All right.